My name's Ben, I'm 13 years old and I've been stuck at home since October because I've got a metal frame on my leg. So far I've had it on for 4.5 months and it's lengthened at 8.5 centimetres. I had meningitis when I was 3 years old and it damaged the growth plates in my leg, therefore only giving me 60% growth from the top half of my leg. If I didn't have it done now, I'd have it on for about a year or more when I was 18 instead of having it on now.
My name is Christine Etheridge. I'm a mum of 2 children, and 10 years ago, when my son Ben, who is now 13, was 3.5, Ben was admitted to hospital with meningococcal septicaemia. Ben had become unwell overnight almost. He'd had signs of a cold, a runny nose, complaining a little bit that his arm hurt. He went to sleep and I kept a close eye on him, and there was just something that was not right with Ben. At the back of my mind was meningitis. I think that's every parent's fear. And when I actually found him in the condition he was in, he was covered in a rash. And when I say a rash, it wasn't the sort of rash that you'd go and get a glass and check. He looked like he'd been splattered with purple paint. Literally like somebody got a brush and dipped it in the paint and gone and splattered him. I obviously phoned 999 and they sent an ambulance. The paramedics came in, they checked Ben's vital signs and they said, right, we need to get him, you carry him to the ambulance. They took Ben straight into A&E, and within seconds of us being in there, he was being treated by about 8 medical staff. The doctor said to me, his heart is failing. We need to put adrenaline into him because if we don't, he will die. So they put adrenaline into him and his heart rate shot through the roof, so much so that I could see the monitor, have some medical experience, and I was reading the monitors and I thought that he would have a heart attack because nobody's heart rate can go up to 235 beats per minute without something serious happening, and they did warn me that could happen. They had to induce a coma, and they said if we don't induce a coma, then Ben's body will try and fight what we're trying to do for him. We're trying to mend his body and he's fighting us at the moment. He was then in intensive care for 3 weeks on life support. He was then moved to high dependency and then onto the renal unit because his kidneys had stopped working and he was on dialysis. They didn't know how damaged he would be should he survive. He could have been brain damaged, he could have been deaf. As they started to reduce all of Ben's drugs and the dopamine and the various other drugs that he was on, they then asked me to try and get a response from him and talk to him and see if he would respond. When I said to Ben, "Can you hear me? It's Mummy," he said, he just gave me a little tiny wee little nod of his head, and I thought, oh, see, he still upsets me now. And I was just, oh, it was just the best feeling to know that he knew who I was, and that he could understand and that he was going to be okay. And he did start to come round, he started to make a slow recovery, and it was such a slow step, but it could have taken years. It really didn't matter because we were getting our little boy back. Things were not quite right with his leg, his left leg. He had to go back into hospital and they looked at his knee because they thought he had an infection in his knee, and they looked at his knee and they said, right, we think his growth plates have been affected, and it made the bones in his lower leg, on his left leg, his tibia and fibula, grow at funny angles, and so they had to remove the growth plates, which meant that Ben didn't get any growth on his left leg below the knee and hasn't had for about 8 years now. But I just think that is a small price to pay considering what could have happened and how serious things were. I just feel like somebody was looking after us because, you know, we feel very grateful to have our little boy because some people are just not as lucky as we are. And Ben's been brilliant through it all. I mean, amazingly brave. And I just say to anybody, you know, just make sure that you know your stuff, read up on your literature. If you've got any doubts, You know, go straight to hospital, trust your instincts. If you feel that something's different, just trust your instincts on it.
I was lucky, it could have been a lot worse off for people with meningitis. They weren't as fortunate as me to have not lost any limbs